cash in the deal, I'm out. Okay. If it's 2%, I think that's cute. Okay. If it's 5% or more, now we're here to talk. And I'm not talking about sweat equity. I'm talking about actual invested cash from the operators
Yes.
into the deal. And another great one that you brought up is local boots on the ground, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of
That's
folks in the space that, they might buy an apartment community and it's a plane ride away, right?
Yeah.
From where the main operators, sit and live. To me,
Yes.
to me, I'm out, right? I want to make sure that the operator
They're
has
close by.
boots on the ground in that market, right? They can pivot with their head on a swivel, okay? And truth be told, in this market cycle that we're in right now, where there's some fear, it's a great time to get in when there's fear, right? But at the same
Yep.
token, you got to be looking at your KPIs every single month, right? And you got to be
Yes.
ready to
Yeah.
change course because of something
Yeah.
that's called yield on cost, right? So it may make sense as part of your business plan to spend some of your CapEx dollars to force NOI growth, depending upon whatever your business plan happens to be. But there may also be times during this current economic cycle where it makes more sense for you to pump the brakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for a number of different reasons, but I'm glad that you highlighted those things. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so synced, what you're saying, because as investors, their hard earned money, LPs, GPs, like in the hotel, we're putting 12%, by the way, just to say that, and I raised 90% in the last 20 days. What? We just did the package out and everything. And anyway, but we have lots of investors, 582 investors. But the key thing, what you're saying is so right. Location, 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 discounts, and the jockeys. Who are the jockeys who have the wavelength and the flexibility, and they're putting their money into the deal? That's huge. Skin in the game. I know those earlier days are gone where people could just come in with very little, like you said, 2%, I think you said, right? That's just not too much, but higher 5% or 10% is pretty strong, pretty strong. Let me ask you a question. Share with me some, you know, anything which is very, very important to you for new investors. I know you and I deal with limited, partners all the time, and GP partners also. Like in hotel, it's a deal which is daily business, they call it. So our CPA, and looking through all the different books and all that, we found out that we could even give GP shares, which will be actually active income share in the hospitality. Airbnb, it can be done in hospitality, it can be also done at the asset level. So this way, the cost segregation and all that minus can be backed against W2 income. Oil and gas is another one which I've invested also, to get 100%, deduction. Do you believe in that, oil and gas? Or just wanted to ask you any other alternative assets you have felt might be worth talking about.
Yeah, I'm not real strong in the oil and gas discussion. I certainly know people that are in that space and I'm aware
Hmm.
of some of the benefits
Hmm.
associated with that. But, I think, as I've mentioned before, the prudent approach for any investor is
Yeah,
diversification, right?
totally,
And so,
totally.
as I mentioned earlier, I'm a limited partner passive investor in a lot of different, asset classes.
Yes.
I also, allocate about 10% of my net worth to finding, other alternative investments outside of traditional. So for example, I'm an early cryptocurrency investor, before it
Hmm.
became a
Hmm.
thing, I was in, right? I also looked at VC backed and angel round, investments where I'm making
Nice.
largely an investment, in the business plan and the jockey at a very early,
Yes.
family and friends stage. And certainly some of those
Yes.
investments, might become, pure donations, but
I
some of
know.
them could also potentially, go to the moon, right? But
Yep.
I
Yep.
think, like we said before, the prudent approach here is diversification.